the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles blow a 21-point lead in Week 12? They sure did. Hi, my name is Frank Ober, and this is Week 13 of my weekly fantasy football preview. The Dallas Cowboys overcame a 21-0 deficit to defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 24-21 to tie the greatest comeback in team history. This game produced two of the top fantasy quarterbacks in Week 12. Quarterback Dak Prescott of the Cowboys had 363 total yards and accounted for 3 touchdowns. He passed Tony Romo as the Cowboys' all-time leading passer. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts accounted for 322 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Additionally, Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens had a huge game with 9 receptions for 146 yards and a touchdown. Another game that produced some top fantasy players was the Detroit Lions' 34-27 overtime win against the New York Giants. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs had a monster game with 219 rushing yards on only 15 carries, including a 69-yard touchdown run in overtime. He also had 11 receptions for 45 yards and ended the day with 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions also had a big game with 9 receptions for 149 yards and a touchdown. For the Giants, quarterback Jameis Winston threw for 366 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also catching a touchdown pass. The main beneficiary of Winston's performance was wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, who finished with 9 receptions for 152 yards and a touchdown. A couple of other noteworthy performances by a wide receiver and running back included Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, who had 167 yards on 8 catches and 2 touchdowns. Running back Emmanuel Wilson of the Green Bay Packers, who was filling in for Josh Jacobs, who was injured, rushed for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots clearly had the best day of any tight end, as he had 7 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown. Place kickers this week were led by Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs, who kicked 5 field goals, and Andy Borregales of the New England Patriots, who kicked 4 field goals. A couple of defenses stood out in Week 12. The Los Angeles Rams defense gave up only 7 points, had 4 sacks, and 3 takeaways, including a touchdown. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns sacked Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Geno Smith 10 times in their 24-10 victory. On the injury front, quarterback Baker Mayfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers suffered a sprained AC joint in his non-throwing shoulder. His availability is questionable. Quarterback J.J. McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings suffered a concussion. If he is unable to clear concussion protocol, little-used Max Brosmer will start for the Vikings. A couple of running backs who were injured in Week 12 include Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints with a knee injury and Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders with an ankle injury. 4 wide receivers were injured in Week 12, including Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs with a pulled hamstring, although he was able to finish the game against the Colts. T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals has a concussion, and he has already been ruled out for Week 13. DK Metcalf of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Khalif Raymond of the Detroit Lions both suffered ankle injuries. And finally, tight end Noah Gray of the Kansas City Chiefs also sustained a concussion. The Week 13 schedule starts with a triple header on Thanksgiving Day, with the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. There is also a game on Black Friday with the Chicago Bears visiting the Philadelphia Eagles. There are no buys in Week 13. Make sure you track the healthier players and check the inactive reports prior to game time so you can adjust your lineup accordingly. Please check out my article for players to start in Week 13. Good luck and happy Thanksgiving.